On the morning of May 5, 2009, Chris Coleman left his residence to go work out at a gym in southern St. Louis County. He attempted to contact his wife Sherry via phone and text, but couldn't reach her. Growing increasingly concerned, he decided to call the police to request a welfare check on his family. Detective Barlow, who had been their neighbor for 5 years, was the first to respond to the call. Upstairs, where they were supposed to be secure in their beds, were Sherry and the 2 young boys of the couple, Garrett and Gavin. They had signs of ligature marks on their necks, suggesting that they had been strangled using a cord or rope. Disturbing spray-painted messages were also found on the walls. Shortly after the murders, the Major Case Squad launched an investigation. The CSI team began processing the crime scene, and warrants were obtained to examine the Coleman's phones and computers. Chris was brought to the police station to provide his statement while dealing with immense distress.
Who do you suspect? I mean, out of all these emails and things you've been talking about at work, there's got to be one person that stands out in your mind.
I don't have any clue. I wish I knew. If I had just been there this morning.
How do you think they died?
No idea. You guys haven't told me.
Okay, do you have any clues?
Chris and Sherry had been married for 12 years, having initially crossed paths during their military service while training in the K-9 unit. Sherry became a stay-at-home mom, while Chris, the son of a preacher, worked as the head of security for televangelist Joyce Meyer. However, occupying this role as Joyce Meyer's security chief seemingly made Chris Coleman a target. In November 2008, Chris started to receive death threats via his work email. In January 2009, a handwritten threat was delivered to the Coleman family's mailbox. On April 27th, which was within a week of the murders, a last threatening message was received. During this time frame, Sherry noticed Chris acting differently and suspected he was having an affair. She also told a friend that if something happened to her, she thought Chris would be to blame. Detective Barlow, their neighbor, installed a camera pointed at the mailbox to capture the person leaving threatening notes. However, to their dismay, the killer managed to enter the Coleman residence undetected and strangle Sherry, Garrett, and Gavin. The Major Case Squad searched for individuals who held negative feelings toward Joyce Meyer. They interviewed these individuals to determine their whereabouts on May 4th and May 5th. On that particular morning, they were relying on Chris Coleman to provide them with helpful information.
Was there a problem in your relationship? Was there anything currently that wasn't going so well in your relationship?
No, not really. I mean, it was the communication thing.
All right. Had you seen anyone else outside of your wife
What do you
in a
mean?
romantic way?
No.
Investigators held suspicions that Chris might have a connection to his family's tragic deaths. Digital evidence obtained from Sherry's phone and Chris's laptop indicated marital issues and raised suspicions of an affair with a woman named Tara Lintz. As detectives questioned Chris, they discovered that Tara was Sherry's friend living in St. Petersburg, Florida. At the same time, Florida officers were interviewing Tara about her connection with Chris Coleman. The situation revealed a picture of a man involved in a romantic relationship with his wife's friend. They had secret meetings in Arizona and Hawaii during Chris's business trips, exchanging a multitude of explicit texts, images, and videos. Meanwhile, the Major Case Squad built a case against Chris, with computer experts analyzing his laptop, handwriting analysts scrutinizing the threatening messages, and forensic examiners reviewing police records and autopsy reports. Cell phone tracking revealed that Chris took a longer route home on the morning of May 5th. After consulting with forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Baden, who indicated that Sherry and her children were likely murdered before Chris left home that morning, the police believed they had their man. They arrested Chris on May 19, 2009 at his parents' home in Illinois, charging him with 3 counts of first-degree murder. They believed Chris had spray-painted his walls to make it appear as if someone else had committed the murders. Prosecutors aimed to depict Chris as a man desperate to escape his marriage and run off with his mistress, attempting to shift the blame for his family's murders onto an unknown assailant. Dr. Baden testified that Sherry and her boys likely died hours before Chris left home. Computer forensic analysis indicated that the threatening emails sent to Chris came from his own laptop. Furthermore, a detective stated that she discovered a receipt for red spray paint in Coleman's residence, and she eventually traced it back to a hardware store. After 15 hours of deliberation over 2 days, the jury delivered guilty verdicts on all counts on May 5, 2011. The crowd outside the courthouse erupted in applause and cheers. Chris Coleman was sentenced to life in prison, in part because Illinois was about to repeal the death penalty.